On a stormy December night in 1903, a postman named Einar Hobel was working late in a post office sorting large piles of Christmas mail. As he worked, he looked out the window at the outskirts of Copenhagen and noticed a ragged little girl and boy, and he saw them for just a moment until they disappeared into the swirling snow. Einar continued on with his work, and yet the deep contrast between the messages of Christmas cheer and goodwill in the letters and packages before him and the sad-looking children just outside his window really troubled him. As he sorted through the piles, he suddenly got an idea. What if every letter or parcel carried an extra stamp, and the money from the tens of thousands of these little extra stamps went to help unfortunate children? What a blessing it would be. The heavy burden would be light if it was carried by many. Well, the next morning, he told his fellow postal workers about it. They were enthusiastic and considered if it would be possible to start that very year. They began working out all the details to prepare for launching the effort during the 1904 Christmas season. When the Christmas rush was over and the plan was worked out, they went to King Christian IX and outlined their scheme. The well-loved king was so enthusiastic about it that he suggested that the first issue of Seals would have Queen Louise's picture as a sign to his people that he and his wife fully were behind the effort. The seals went on sale during Christmas of 1904, and the campaign was even more successful than the postman had hoped. The Danish people bought 4 million seals. It was decided that the money raised would go to the thousands of children in most distress, those who were afflicted with tuberculosis. Hospitals were built, and the world saw how ordinary citizens could help fight an infectious disease. Well, the very next year, Norway and Sweden offered Christmas seals to their people, and by 1907, the idea had crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Miss Emily Bissell heard from her cousin, Dr. Joseph P. Wales, that a little sanitarium on the Brandywine River in Delaware was about to close for lack of $300, sending the patients, all of whom were infectious, out among others where they could spread their disease. Miss Bissell remembered a magazine article sent to her a while back telling about how the Danish people had begun to fight tuberculosis by buying seals to decorate their Christmas letters and cards. Miss Bissell decided that she would see if America would be willing to help in the same way. An artist friend helped her design a seal, a simple wreath of holly in the brightest red that the printer could find. 2 women gave her $20 each toward the cost, and a very kind printer named Charles Story agreed to go ahead and just trust her for the rest. Unfortunately, not everyone was so encouraging. Officials didn't like the idea of linking Christmas to a terrible disease, and in the end, postal authorities would not agree to let postmen sell the seals as they had in the Scandinavian countries. The campaign went so slowly that it was plain that the $300 needed was not going to be collected in time to keep the hospital from closing. Well, Miss Bissell did not give up. She went to Philadelphia and appealed to the news editor of the North American daily newspaper. Though the news editor refused to help, Miss Bissell did stop and tell a young columnist named Lee Mitchell Hodges about how much she enjoyed his column, The Optimist, and cautiously explained her dilemma. The young columnist rushed into the managing editor's office, tossed a sheet of the seals on his desk, and exclaimed, "Here's a way to wipe out tuberculosis." His boss, Mr. Van Valkenburg, said, "Tell Miss Bissell the North American is hers for the holidays. You drop everything else and put all your time on this. And get 50,000 of these seals in here. We'll sell them for her on the street floor." The seals were placed in small envelopes carrying the following words in red: 25 Christmas seals, 1 penny apiece, issued by the Delaware Red Cross to stamp out the White Plague. Put this stamp with message bright on every Christmas letter. Help the tuberculosis fight and make the new year better. These stamps do not carry any kind of mail, but any kind of mail will carry them. Emily started her own one-woman campaign to publicize the seals and how donating them would help fight the battle against TB. She spoke to all sorts of groups, working overtime to make her campaign a great success. Finally, on December 7th of 1907, the first seals were sold at a table in the corridor of the Wilmington Post Office. And ultimately, the campaign resulted in over $3,000. It grew into a national program in 1908 by the National Association for the Study of Prevention of Tuberculosis and the American National Red Cross. The seals were sold at post offices initially in Delaware at 1 cent each, and the net proceeds from the sales were divided equally between the two organizations. In 1920, the Red Cross withdrew from the arrangement, and the seals campaign was conducted exclusively by the National Tuberculosis Association. The name was later changed in the 1960s to the National Tuberculosis and Respiratory Disease Association, and the NTRDA then became the American Lung Association in 1973. Today, the Christmas seals benefit the American Lung Association and other lung-related issues. Tuberculosis was declining, but according to the American Lung Association, it's actually been on the rise again recently. TB is still the most common major infectious disease in the world. Well, how many of us have noticed Christmas seals or used Christmas seals in our cards and letters and packages at Christmas time? I know I certainly have, and they always caught my eye because they were so adorable and colorful. When I was a little girl in about 4th grade, my teacher wanted to introduce our class to stamp collecting. And I remember that she put a box out on the counter at the local post office. And she would bring it back each week, and it would be filled with all kinds of stamps that people had donated. Now, me, I'm the rebel. I always kind of plowed past the stamps and would find the Christmas seals. They were so much more attractive to me, and each one was different every year, and I ended up saving and collecting them. And just the other day, I was thinking about Christmas seals as I received my first Christmas card, and there was the 2007 seal. And I thought, I wonder if I still have that collection. Well, I do. The artwork is terrific, and it's a very interesting walk through time and kind of what was popular at the time, because the artwork definitely reflects the style. Everything from the old traditional to Art Deco to kind of that more cartoonish Disney look, the 1950s. The variation in the artwork over the years really reflect the changing styles of our nation. I hope you've enjoyed this look back at the little Christmas seal that made such a difference in the lives of our grandparents, our parents, and our lives today. And 2007 is a very appropriate time for this little look back, as the Christmas seal marks its 100th birthday this year. It's a wonderful testimony to how every person can make a difference in the world. If you'd like to learn more about how to discover your family tree and the part your ancestors played in history, visit genealogygems.tv, where you can listen to the weekly free podcast, explore the website, read the Genealogy Gems news blog, and sign up to receive the free monthly newsletter. We all have a history. Isn't it time to discover yours? Merry Christmas from Genealogy Gems.